Hello and welcome to World Talks here on TVP World with me, Ashim Kumar. As Europe debates how to sustain Ukraine's defence, the EU is considering an unprecedented reparations loan using profits from 185 billion euros in frozen Russian assets to fund Kyiv's war effort and reconstruction. The move comes amid a fragile Gaza ceasefire and renewed pressure on Europe to boost its defence autonomy. With leaders divided and Viktor Orbán absent from this week's summit, can the EU maintain unity and legality in confronting Russia and supporting Ukraine? Well, to answer those and related questions, we are joined by Piotr Maciej Kaczyński, EU Institutional Issues Lecturer at European Institute of Public Administration. Welcome back. Good to see you.
Good to see you again.
So talk us through the latest on this this loan, so-called reparations loan. It's been given a name now, but it's essentially about using frozen Russian assets to fund Ukraine's efforts in the war and also rebuilding efforts. So what's the situation?
The situation is pretty much that there are plenty of Russian money in Europe, not only in the EU but also in the UK and other places. So the question which was there for the last 3 years was, what can we do with this, right? And those are frozen assets. So, for example, Russia cannot use it right now, but we cannot use it either. So there was this big question, can we use it and finance, for example, Ukraine when Ukraine is fighting Russia right now? And this asset is super big, right? You just put how much money it is. And it seems right now that the EU leaders are on the same page to use those money. And even those who were very, let's say, they were very hesitant because, for example, Belgium is the country that is hosting those money, and the Belgian Prime Minister was saying, "Sorry, guys, but we are liability for this. If Russia will, for example, sue us in the future, this is what is the problem."
Right.
So,
let me just pause you.
Now this problem is solved.
Okay, so I'm going to come to the solution in a minute, but I think it's important we clarify a couple of things. We're talking here about Russian state assets, and the problem has been around what's called sovereign immunity, which means that those state assets cannot be taken away in this way by other states, correct? What about assets owned by individuals, Russian individuals, in Western Europe, in the EU? Can those be used in the same way?
It's a different issue, but for example, because let's put it this way, if you are a private citizen, it's a private yacht or it's a private money of some oligarch who has billions of euros here and there investments, for example.
But he's sanctioned, for example.
But he or she or his family are on sanction list. So there is an issue that they can be already confiscated. And if this has happened already, it's done. So this is actually what we have been seeing. We have seen this from the last 3 years.
So that money is already being used for Ukraine?
Yes, because if you are sanctioned, then this is a crime, because you are accused that you are a criminal, exactly. So this is a completely different issue when we talk about state money and state funds. Okay. Because state funds, this is like holy grail in international relations. Right. It's like diplomatic status of diplomats. That's what we are talking about.
Understood. So thus far the problem has been, well, is it legal? You know, should we be doing it? Doesn't it leave us open to similar attacks in the future? But you say a solution has been found. Tell us more.
For the moment, it's just a political solution that has been found, and there is a green light from the European Council member states, and including Belgian Prime Minister. So the green light is now given to the Commission to find a nitty-gritty, detailed proposal, which we will see only in a few weeks, probably. So we do not know exactly how the EU will do it, but Commission has been saying it's possible.
Right. Does that mean, because there has been some talk in the past about using not the capital, but the interest earned on that capital? Are we talking about that situation, or do you think there's something completely new here?
I think it's even bigger. It's not only about the interests, but even the capital.
Okay, interesting. So what has been holding this back so far? Okay, we've come to the end of the road, hopefully, the end of the argument legally and so on. But in terms of the number of countries that need to agree to following this path, is there a minimum? Is there a quorum?
Politically, it has to be all 27, but it's not a problem for people like Viktor Orbán or Mr. Fico from Slovakia, because they don't have those assets in those countries. So the real problem is for those countries who are hosting those assets. So Belgium, UK, Germany, France, and effectively, they are saying right now, yes, we can do it. I'm thinking that probably Commission is going to use the issue that there are sanctions against Russia. So if it's a rogue state out there, that this is an issue that could be used to use those funds that are frozen for now.
Yeah, you say Orbán doesn't really care because Hungary doesn't run a risk here, but Orbán has always come out on the side of Putin, when it comes to anything to do with this.
I think it's complicated. I think it's not so easy to portray Viktor Orbán as Putin's boy. He's more Trump's boy, if you like this. So we see how Trump is navigating in between, or trying to be in between, how difficult this matter is to have his own voice, and I think Viktor Orbán is a follower here. It wasn't Orbán who was always pro-Russian. There is no Hungarian veto on 19 package of sanctions against Russia. Right now it's a Slovak veto. Austrians have just lifted their veto. So Viktor Orbán, yes, he's a radical in his own right, but just to put a blunt stamp that Putin and Orbán are one-to-one, well, no.
So more nuanced than it may seem. So tell me, let's assume this all goes through, the money is now made available. What difference does that make to Ukraine?
It makes a huge difference. The estimates are that this money alone can finance Ukraine's effort for 3 years. 3 years.
You mean into military effort running the war?
Yes, running the war. So if this can help Ukraine for running the war with the money that we have right now, with the prices which are here, that's a huge. It's a huge sum. It can help Ukraine, but it can help those who are financing it right now. Europeans, mostly, United States in the past.
Right. So what about rebuilding? Because it can be used for rebuilding as well, is it not? Can it not? So could some of it be set aside for that purpose?
Absolutely. Plus, there's actually an interesting twist, because the reconstruction and using these frozen assets for reconstruction is probably part of the bigger negotiations with the Russians, whether they are ongoing or not. They are on and off, and we don't know, of course, what are the paradigms of those future truce or future peace, but the Russians have been actually testing the waters about 6 months ago, trying to say that this could be used partially for reconstruction of Ukraine, including the parts of former Ukrainian territory that is right now occupied by Russia. So the Russians were kind of a little bit nuanced on this matter as well. But that was about 6 months ago. Of course, they can change their mind as well. But it just was a signal that they are not only on the negative side, what's going on with those frozen assets.
So just very briefly, in the last minute or so that we have left, is there anything that Russia can do after the war ends to recover these monies?
I can't tell you that because the circumstances are unknown for now. What will be status of Russia in the international relations after the war?
No, but legally speaking or politically speaking, or is it, I mean,
Look, we need to see what the Commission is proposing and what is the reaction of the Russians. Whether they are going to say this is completely illegal and they are going to say we're going to take you to the court. Which court? how it's going to work. However, the biggest question for this issue is a retaliation for Russia, but also other countries. What will happen, for example, if Zimbabwe doesn't like a Western country and will just take all the assets, which are not only for the private citizens or private people, but also states, embassies.
Understood. We'll be watching carefully. Piotr, thank you very much indeed for coming along and sharing your analysis with our audience. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
And that brings us to the end of this episode of World Talks. Don't go away, though. As always, lots more coming up. Goodbye.